identifying the spirit via its behavior and actions in the natural. Some time ago, I met a man that shared with me how his teenage son had a serious issue with lying. He went on to say how his son would tell lies for the simplest things. He said that even though he would punish his son in every way possible to detour his son's inability to tell the truth, it seems as if nothing was working. It was more than clear to me that this man was beyond frustrated and very close to the point of giving up on his son. Well, just before he could continue his story about his son, I immediately interrupted him and blatantly asked him if he ever had an issue with lying. The gentleman looked at me with a puzzled face and his head slightly turned, apparently trying to figure out how he would answer me. Before he could answer, I sternly said to him that to address his son's issues I would need him to be honest with his reply. Well, just as I expected, his answer was yes, he did have issues with lying. I in turn said, "Are you currently having issues?" "Yes," he replied. I began to explain to this gentleman that as long as he continues to address his son's issue with lying from a physical angle, and at the same time not addressing his own problems with this same spirit, then things will only get progressively worse. "What does a spirit have to do with what I am telling you?" the gentleman said. For the record, folks, this gentleman has been a Christian over 17 years. Again, a Christian's first level of understanding his or her physical and natural issues is to always discover its root. I promise you its root will always be spiritual. This, of course, is determined by the action or behavior of the person or the environment that's producing such behavior. In the case mentioned above with the gentleman and his son, he is completely unaware, a lack of knowledge, that he's dealing with two spiritual items, and they are one, a lying spirit, and two, a generational curse of lying that's giving this spirit the legal right to torment this family. In both cases, the counterattack must be spiritual prayer and or fasting, etc. Overall, there was a spirit, a lying spirit in this case, that was going unchallenged in the lives of this family simply because of the ignorance of the knowledge of this spirit. Again, the root cause of folks' destruction and failures will always be due to a lack of knowledge. Let's look at Scripture to bring clarity to this mystery. In 1 Kings 22:19-22, a prophet by the name of Micaiah prophesied the defeat of Israel. Surprisingly, in his prophetic words, he unveils some other spiritual truths. And he said, "Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And there came forth a spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and also prevail. Go forth and do so." There are two very important revelations that we can take away from this text, and they are, 1, the purpose of spirits is to persuade or influence humans, and 2, a spirit is always the root cause behind consistent negative issues. Therefore, the reality is a spirit cannot be challenged or eradicated by physically punishing or hurting someone. Instead, a spirit can only be subdued and removed via spiritual warfare, which will consist of prayer, fasting, praise, and worship, etc., simply because these are the spiritual weapons that are used in spiritual warfare. I told this gentleman to reapproach his situation with his son beginning with himself, asking God to break the generational curse of lying that is fueling the spirit of lying in his life and, by extension, his son's life. I further advised him to saturate his prayers with scriptures about his matter. Well, it was months later that our paths collided once again. The gentleman explained to me that not only has there been a massive improvement in his son's behavior, but his ability to be upfront and honest in his everyday life is beyond belief. He told me that he had shared the principles I explained to him from the Bible to others who have had similar results with other issues in their lives. Friends, I really want you to hear me today in your spirit. I had counsel and met with countless individuals that have been saved Christians for years, and they are completely ignorant of the spirit world along with the laws and principles that govern it. As a result, even though they are 20, 30, 40 years in their Christian journey, they are still facing and battling the same issues they had before their conversion to Christianity. This has brought me to the conclusion that you could carry the title of Christian but still remain in bondage. This has also made me acutely aware that the quality of our lives will not improve because we are Christians. Instead, the quality of our lives will be due to the application of the laws of God which is found in the Holy Scriptures. The spirit realm is real and it is the origin of all things. God has given us a book that teaches us to master this domain to attain and maintain success in our natural world. My word of wisdom to you is simply this: if you insist on remaining ignorant to the realm of the Spirit, then you are indeed co-signing with your spiritual adversaries to defeat you in the natural. This article was written by Kevin L. A. Ewing.